What's up, everybody? You've tuned in to Just Drawz, the podcast that explores hot topics and various experiences among same-gender loving Black men. In each episode, we offer raw, vulnerable, and stripped-down perspectives to give voice to our frequently overlooked population. Here, we don't just scratch the surface, we dive deep, peeling back the layers of our experiences as well as heteronormative stereotypes. Let's get into this week's episode.
What's up, family? Welcome to the Just Drawz podcast, where we keep it vulnerable,
Raw, stripped down,
and authentically just us. I'm Jeff.
And I'm your boy Darius, aka DMC.
All right, so grab a drink.
Or keep your hands on the wheel.
And let's get into it.
And readjust your support. You want to make sure you do that too. Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go. All right, so this episode, you can see we're in the same room. We're coming from Atlanta.
Yeah, welcome to Atlanta.
Welcome to Atlanta. So a place that you've been several times.
It's a third home.
A third home.
Yeah.
Indeed. Okay. All right. So a little bit less banter this time because, we're going to get right into it this time.
Might as well.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So, we're going to talk about dating on this app. We've all had bad dates. We've all had good dates. We've all had similar disastrous dating experiences. And so we're going to talk about that on this episode. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and ways we can try to recover and have a good date and how to plan a good date in the future. Mm-hmm. All right. So let's get started with Darius.
Okay.
What's one of the worst dates you've been on?
So in a previous episode of Just Drawz, I talked about a date that I had where I met a guy and we were going to breakfast, and he had his, I'm going to put air quotes around this, but his stalker show up at breakfast and kind of start questioning me about who I was and how long, quote, things had been going on between me and him. And I was like, look, I just met this guy and breakfast has not been going on that long. And so we had that whole exchange, and me and the guy ended up leaving to go to another restaurant. And I think I talked about in that podcast that he was calling people as we were on the way to the restaurant, telling people, like, can you believe what happened? Like, do you know who showed up at this? And I had to finally tell him, no, dude, like, I'm here having a conversation with you and I'm here to hang out with you. So I don't think you need to talk to everybody else. Like, talk to them about what happened later, right. So I had to kind of rein things back in. And then it was awkward the entire time because I think he kept thinking about what had just happened and he was embarrassed about what happened. But it didn't embarrass me that much. I was just like, well, if you're telling me this is what it was, it had nothing to do with you. So I'm okay. But we never talked anymore after that. We never hung out anymore after that. So it was bad in that respect because I think he got in his own head about how I would have thought that the date went. Now, I've had a couple of other bad ones, but that's one of the ones that stood out when I was thinking about the topic. So I said, let me just revisit that. Let me do a call back to a previous episode. So what was your worst?
My worst was a couple of years ago. I met this guy on one of the apps, and we're actually going to talk about this a little bit later. Met him on one of the apps, and he was like, meet me at my place. I was like, all right, cool, let's blah, 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 blah. We had made plans to go to the movies. And so I was coming from South Atlanta, and he lives like up in Duluth area, like Sugarloaf Parkway, if you are familiar with that. So all the way from middle of Atlanta to up there. I get up there, and I got up there early. He was like, meet me at whatever time. I think the movie started at like 8. So I think I got there at like 7:30 because we weren't too far from the theater from where he lived. So I get there. He's not ready. He's not at home, number one. So I had to wait on him to get home. He gets home. And as soon as he gets in the house, he has to like go freshen up, this, that, and the other. So he does all of that. And it really didn't take him that long to like freshen up. But when he came out the bathroom, like he just smelled like all of the cologne. Okay. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. But okay, you know what? we'll just deal with it. So I was like, cool, I'll drive us. So we drive to the movie. Movie's fine, everything like that.
Did you put the windows down in the car because all of the cologne was?
I did not.
Okay. So you were somewhere struggling to.
It wasn't that bad. It was just a lot. Like, it was a little bit more than what he needed to go.
Okay.
Like, if it was one extra pump, I think that's what it was. He needed one less pump that day of the cologne. Mm-hmm. So we get to the theater, and I don't remember what we saw. I just remember that he was trying to, like, you know, touch and rub and all of that. And I was like, I'm not really there with you yet. I'm just here to, like, go to the theater, and that's it. I just came here to go to the theater, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So we get to the theater, watch the movie, we leave, and then I get like back to his place, and I was like he wanted me to come in. Or no, I remember before he got out of the car, like he was trying to like kiss. And I was like, all right, cool. I'll give you like a little quick peck, whatever, call it a day. Did that. And so when he gets out the car, he basically like mooned me when he got out because he didn't have on any underwear. And there's no problem with not wearing any underwear on, but dude, like it's sagging. And I was like, that's just like not cute. So that was not a very good experience for me. And I'll get to why that was an experience a little bit more later on, because there's a little bit more to this.
Okay, because I was going to say like, okay, mooning somebody and an extra pump of cologne, that makes a bad date, but I can't wait to hear the rest of what popped off.
I don't want to give all of this all at once. Okay. But yeah, there was a little bit more to that story that kind of made it like, I don't think we're going to be doing this again.
Okay. So then on the flip side to that, what was one of the best dates that you had?
Okay, so one of the best dates that I've had was recently with my current partner. Mm-hmm. And I'm referencing like early dates, like not, down the road, blah, 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 we've already established. We ended up going to this Thai place because I think we both had mentioned that we liked Thai food, and I think it was we were talking about like places that we wanted to go out to eat, and that was one of those that was on both of our lists. Mm-hmm. So we go up there, eat, chit chat. I can use chopsticks. I don't think anything about it when I, go eat Asian food.
I can use them with that little thing that you put in the
little trainer thing.
I can use the train. Like I have to put training wheels on my chopsticks.
I can freehand it.
Okay.
When you look like this,
Well, yeah.
You gotta learn.
That's one thing that I admire is I was like, I wish my eyes were like that. I think my eyes have not changed since I was 5. So, and maybe we'll insert a picture at this point of my eyes, and you'll see that my eyes are the exact same size that they were when I was 3, 4, 5. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, I can use them with ease, and he was like struggling a little bit, but I think he got like maybe one piece of food, and I thought that was really cute.
Okay.
But yeah, we had like a good date. And that was it. It was just basically just us talking and, talking about like our goals. We found out we had talked previously, but this was like our first official date. And we just kind of elaborated more on what our similar interests were, and, things that we want to get out of life and things that we want to plan to do, like, get a house and do all that, do, trips and things. And we just have aligned very well. So that was like the date that I was like, you know what? I think I want to enjoy more with this person.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I know that for me, I've had a lot of good dates because I date. I go out on dates.
Serial dater.
Okay, fine. So, yes, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But, we do that sort of thing, or I do that sort of thing. And so I don't mind going out and engaging with people and having conversations and things of that nature. So a lot of the dates, and I'm just going to kind of encapsulate them into one kind of grouping because I can't really isolate one specific date. But the better dates that I've had, or the best dates that I've had, are instances where we have an opportunity to really sit down and like get to know each other. We're talking about goals. We're talking about our past. We're talking about our present. We're talking about our future. It's not always about sex, and it's not always about, love languages and like things of that nature. But some of that stuff comes up. And I think that that's healthy in those dates that those early dates that it's like, okay, well, let's establish who we are as people to see if there's even some compatibility. Now, some of those better dates have been overnight dates. They've turned into overnight dates. So we hang out, and then it's like, hey, you want to come back to the crib and just kind of hang out and talk some more? We come back and we talk some more, and then we end up falling asleep, and it's like, they stay over. So it's been really good. There's, like I said, there have been a few that have been really good in that respect. And it didn't feel like anything was forced. Like I didn't have to force myself onto somebody, or they didn't have to force themselves onto me. It was kind of a natural, organic sort of thing. And I really enjoy those things. Now, all of those dates don't have to be overnight. They absolutely don't. I don't go into a date saying, okay, I'm gonna get you back to the crib and we're gonna, do some stuff. Some
adult
things,
activities.
Some adult activities, some horizontal adult activities. No, so it's not even like that. It's just about vibe and energy. And I think that's what people are talking about when they say stuff like, I feel out vibes. So you can feel a vibe in the first 3 to 5 minutes of a date. You go, okay, physically, yes, you're here. But then like the energy, there's an energy kind of there. And I think those have been really good dates for me. Those haven't manifested into anything past maybe that date and a few conversations or anything like that. But that's probably something else that has absolutely nothing to do with me. So we'll see, how that works. But
vibes and just feeling like you're in tune with the person, at least for that date and that moment in time, is good. And people need to learn how to recognize that. So they can try to figure out, hey, this worked on this date with this person. Maybe I can want to get more out of this with this person. Or at least, take that as like a lesson learned and be like, hey, this worked well. Let me carry this over, even though, we crashed and burned this on another, or faded away. We can still, I can still take those experiences and apply that going forward.
And that's a very good point, because people don't. It's if it didn't work out, it's like, fuck it, I don't want to do anything else. And it's like, but no, take each one of these situations and scenarios as a teachable moment. Like, okay, maybe I said too much in this date, or maybe I came on a little too strong in this one, or maybe the person that I was having conversations with, that energy doesn't translate to in person, and so it could potentially work, but maybe not. Maybe they just don't understand that, and so it's about having those conversations. And I try to have those conversations. I had somebody tell me one time when I went on a date that when I ask somebody, or when I say to somebody on a date, I really am having a good time. I'm having a good time with you. I would love to do this again. Are you interested? Someone told me that I was doing too much.
By providing live, on-demand feedback, you were doing too much.
Yes.
People.
So I said, I interrogated that. I said, okay, well, how is that doing too much? If you need to understand or know how someone, or how you need to move in the situation, why is asking if they would like to do this again too much? And they said the answer was one of these standard ass things that we say all the time, well, I just like things to be organic, and it's like, but organic means living. And in order to live, there are things that you have to do. I can't just exist in the world and not eat, not sleep, not take a shit, I can't do any of those things. I have to physically do certain things, and I have to put that work into it. And so I think for something to be organic, you can't just sit back like you've got cerebral palsy and go, I'm not going to do this. I can't do anything. You go, all right, I need to figure out what's working, how I need to move, which way we need to move, all of those things. So if we need to move on, move forward, or not move at all, those things.
Right. And you know what? Another canned phrase that people use is go with the flow.
Yeah.
And that is actually what you were doing. You were going with the flow, and the flow was telling you, hey, I'm interested. I want to do something with you again. And that seems like a very common closer for a date, because we see people do that on movies, movies and TV all the time. Like, hey, I like you. I want to see if we can do this again sometime. Sure. And, you kind of go from there. And it doesn't mean that, hey, I want to do this with you tomorrow.
Right.
Or I want to do this with you,
even
a week
next
from there,
week,
or even next week, it's like, I like this experience with you. I'm not saying that I want to go down the aisle and jump the broom with you right now.
Yeah.
I want to go out on another date with you. Excuse me, in the future, not immediately. I'm not trying to lock you down. I'm not trying to be your boyfriend or your partner.
Right.
I just want to continue this later on. And I think maybe that's what people are getting, or that's how they may be reading that, is like, oh, he's trying to commit and lock in already, instead of just taking it as like, oh yeah, I want to go out for pizza with you this time because we just had Chinese food this time.
And it's so weird that people don't understand that that's what you mean by that. When I say I'd like to do this again, this is what I'm talking about. Like this moment, this dinner, this putt golf, this bowling. I'd like to do this again, or something very similar to this. Not, like you said, I don't want to go down the aisle, but that was an isolated incident, and it made me think, okay, I knew that I wasn't going to move any farther with this person, but from that moment, I was like, okay, yeah, we'll see. So we went from there. Now, one of the things that a lot of people talk about in dating is this idea of catfishing, or the concept of catfishing. So what has been your experience with catfishing?
So the previous situation that I told you about was...
So here's part 2, everybody.
Yeah, this is part 2. We're going to bring it to the epic conclusion. So what happened with that too was that I'm okay if someone sends me a picture that isn't like taken yesterday. I'm okay with someone sends me a picture that they took last year, because I don't feel like there's been too much of a change in how you look between April 2024, April 2025. You're probably going to not look too much different unless you've had something crazy going on. But you cannot send me a picture from back when the LG chocolate phone was out. When your body,
how far back that was?
When your body looked, really nice and things like that. And then when I see you in person, you don't look like that anymore. Like, I'm not going to send you a picture from when I had a full head of hair, because I don't have that. I'm not going to send you a picture where my beard was a little bit darker than what it is now, because you're going to see this and you're going to be like, well, wait a minute. Now, what was the time difference between this?
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah. So, catfishing yourself, giving you a representation of you when you were at your peak, or when you felt like you looked the best, and not your current you, is, to me, not as bad, but we're still in the subdivision of catfish. We're in catfish neighborhood, catfish row, with that. And so that was part of the reason why I was like, yeah, if you're doing all of this trying to impress me, I don't think that this is going to be a match.
What would be your definition of catfish? Because I think one of the other points of contention that I have with the concept, and I love the TV show, I love the movie, all of that. I think I've seen every episode of the TV show, and I definitely watched the movie. But one thing that I've noticed is that people have various definitions of catfish or catfishing. What is yours?
Yeah, I have pretty much because I haven't really experienced that from people doing that to me. But for me, it would be basically giving me an AI picture of you, or a picture that isn't even you altogether. And every time I ask you, hey, send me a photo, or hey, let's FaceTime, let's, Google Meet or whatever. And it's always some type of excuse where you don't want to show me a live picture of you. And then when we meet and you look nothing like what you've sent me, and you're misrepresenting your visual. And it's not even that. I could still be attracted to you, but I would still have a little bit of trepidation, exactly, going forward, because now I'm like, well, you didn't even have to do all of this. Like, you look fine. Like, there's, if you don't like the way you look, that's cool. Go sit on someone's couch. But I don't want to, I'm going to always kind of keep that in the back of my mind. It's like, you showed me this version of you, or this completely different individual, and I don't feel like, we're going to be able to continue on this path, because that's always going to be in the back of my mind. Like, there's going to always be something that I'm going to be doubting from that point. So for me, it's basically just the misrepresentation of how you look, or the beating around the bush of not trying to have any type of live communication where that includes video, because we're in the age where everybody's got a nice camera. Everybody's got high-speed internet. We can always have a quick 1 minute call. It doesn't have to be no big whole thing and just like, oh, hey, yeah, this is you, blah, 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 this and another. And that's it. Then we can still continue to text. We can still stay on the phone. And then once we meet in person, then I know, hey, it's you. It's not, oh, I'm the dude with the black shirt on and the black glasses with the tortoise frames or whatever. I don't have to go through all of that. You just tell me that when I see you, I'm like, oh, hey. And I get up and hug you. And, we keep on going about our business with the date.
Right. Okay.
What's your experience with catfishing?
So I've been catfished a few times, but it never got to the physical meeting portion of it.
Okay.
So because I am such a fan of the movie and I have watched every episode of the TV show, I know the signs of catfish. So there's certain ways that pictures look when somebody is trying to either use them for themselves, or there's certain, I have training in linguistics. And so sometimes, and I'm not saying that this is often or all the time, so I'm not putting that out there as an absolute, but sometimes when you have interactions with people, if they're text interactions, they're a little bit harder to gauge and justify. But if you have a phone conversation, that's one of the things that I like to do early on, is have a phone conversation with somebody, because then I can hear in their voice, like the temperature or the timbre of their voice. I can hear if this sounds like you or not. Like I'm going, okay, this voice has a little bit more of a high pitch to it. So I don't know if what you're doing in your pictures is appropriate. Not appropriate is not the word I want to use. It's if it's
aligning with.
Yes, if it aligns with what your voice is doing to me. So there have been some times where I've kind of caught some people in that. I've listened to them speak and I go, okay, this sounds different than what it looks. And I don't know, maybe that's just kind of intuition too, but I've done that. And then I've seen pictures before where people will send me a picture and I'm going, okay, this is a nice picture, but now this picture looks different than this picture. And then this picture looks different from that one. So I've never kind of let it get to the point where we've met. Now, early on in my dating of guys career, I mistakenly catfished somebody.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's how it went down.
Full disclosure time.
Full disclosure time. Listen up, everybody. Story time. So when I first started dating guys, I got on Jacked. And that was thanks to Sean, my other best friend. He was like, oh yeah, you can download this app and this will be whatever. So I downloaded the app and I put pictures up because at that time I was still very much
new.
Yeah, and didn't want to put my face out there like that. And so I put pictures up. Now I put pictures up of Lance Gross.
Okay.
And I look absolutely nothing like Lance Gross. Now, at the time, I was definitely smaller, but I put pictures up of Lance Gross in poses that I had taken like myself. So like there might be a shot where he was in like a Kangol hat and he had on like a striped shirt. I had a picture that was like that, but I didn't post my own picture.
So was his face visible?
Yes.
Okay. So It wasn't like a cutoff or torso.
No.
Okay.
No, it wasn't. I wasn't trying to pretend to be him.
Yeah.
But I did post those pictures just initially to get the conversation. But what I always did in each of those instances was whenever somebody reached out to talk to me, I would immediately tell them, hey, how you doing? This is who I am, but these are not my pictures. I just put these up as a placeholder, etc. There was one person who I was engaging with that I could have sworn I sent my pictures to him right after we did that, and I didn't. And we were to meet up at a restaurant. It wasn't until I was on my way to the restaurant that I thought to myself, I said, wait a minute, did I send him pictures of me?
Okay.
Like, had I sent him pictures? And by the time I thought about that, he was like maybe 2 or 3 minutes from the restaurant and I had already gotten there. And so when I got there, I said, let me apologize to you. I said that I did not send you pictures of me prior to this happening. And so we ended up talking a little bit, but we we just kind of parted from there. And that was completely fine. But I was like, yeah, I said, that was not my intent to do that. I thought I did. I thought, you know, because I had done it with everybody else. And I was just like, okay, I didn't mean for that to happen. So I never really heard anything else from him after that, which was completely fine. And I get it, because I might not have been, you know, his type or whatnot. And he was kind of thrown off because he was like, this is the first time this has ever happened to me, you know. And so, and he was DL, you know, at the time. So I said, okay, well, I get it. I understand, you know.
So if he was DL, did he send you photos?
He sent me a photo, but it was like, I don't know if Jack at the time had those disappearing photos or not.
Okay.
But he did. I had seen what he looked like, which made me think that, oh my God, I know I have sent him something of me if I've seen him before. But then, of course, the picture that he sent me was kind of like, it was one of those weird angle kind of shots. Right. And so I could see what he looked like, but it was like, okay, like this isn't really like a straight on like face kind of situation. It was just
kind of.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, you know, but I understood. I got it.
Yeah, that's interesting. But at least in that case, like you were basically using Lance as advertisement, I guess, or at least to get the attention first.
And I thought that I didn't think that people would not know who that was.
So your expectation was people know that Lance is not sitting up here on Jack.
First of all, right, that he's not on Jack and that he doesn't live in North Carolina. Constantly, he might be visiting or passing through, but we know that that's not that. So I figured that, I'm going to put somebody up that is dark skinned and is attractive, but that people know. Like, and this guy didn't know who he was. He was like, I don't even know who that is. Okay. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Now that all kind of makes sense. But you didn't know anything.
And like I said, I didn't. It wasn't like I was trying to be like, okay, hey, I look like this, and et cetera, et cetera. And that didn't happen because I don't know that he ever asked me for any other pictures either. I usually would volunteer those, but I don't remember him ever asking. Okay. So I was like, okay, that was my bad, you know.
Okay, all right. So, considering what we just talked about, like, catfishing in general and using video to verify, why do you think people still catfish in 2025? Because I'm asking you because you have more experience with dating in general than I do.
I don't.
At least in this current dating pool.
This climate, yeah. I don't know if I have a real answer to that. It's. I think that it has something to do, or a lot to do, with the self-esteem of that person. And while I don't feel like I am super attractive like that, like I would give myself a 6, maybe a 7, maybe. Seriously. Okay. I would give myself a 6, maybe a 7 on a good day, But I think that there are people who are so caught up in the ideal that the community has put out there, that the ideal of beauty that the community has put out there, that if anybody falls short of that, it's going to be looked at as not enough, or it's going to be looked at as automatic rejection. And so I think people would rather hold on to a moment of not being immediately rejected than to put themselves out there and be immediately rejected. You know that term, or that idiom, cliche, it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that. Like I'd rather have a moment of somebody being interested than to never have that moment at all. And so I think that they catfish because give me that little bit of momentary gratification. And then if I can combine some momentary gratifications, a bunch of those together, then I'll be okay for a little bit, even though it's still not ultimately what I want.
Yeah. Because I think we all like to feel desired and feel that, someone wants me. Yeah. And, that can feel really, what's the word I want to say? Really, it feels good, but it could be something that people get addicted to because they like getting those endorphins.
And I think that's part of it too.
Yeah, that everybody wants to be wanted, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you can't just lie to people and expect that in the end it's all going to work out because they're going to, you know, like me for my personality. Right. I'm going to overcome all of that with all of these other things. And that could very well be the case. But because you're starting out being dishonest, that's going to be, like I said earlier, it's kind of hard for some people to kind of get over that because they're always going to be in the back of their mind like, yeah, you told me this, and it's actually that. And I know on some episodes of Catfish, it does work out in the end, you know, but I don't, you know, does that happen more often that it works out than not? Because
you get a lot more of what you just said, people saying stuff like, well, everything else that I told you was true. Everything else about me was real, you know, and you fell in love with this, you know, but then those same people are like, but the image was part of that. And so now that that's a lie, I don't know what to believe. Now, I can't say that I completely agree with them when they say that stuff like, oh, well, but this was a lie, so I don't know what else is a lie. Like you're conflating the two. But I think that when people say stuff like, okay, you've lied about this, and this, now I have more of a reason to say, okay, let me take a step back because I don't know. But again, I think that's what it is. That it's really the physical appearance more so than anything. I think some people, I don't think that people catfish as much about their like lives, their jobs, you know, stuff like that as much. But I think it's more, you know, the physical appearance is what they're they want that validation from.
Right. So, and we can't like dismiss that being a factor.
No.
In people's attraction. I mean, when people, you know, going for someone to go out to date.
Because that gets you in the door.
Yeah, that gets you in the door. And like if you have that expectation, like, oh, I wanted somebody that was over 5'2" and had a 12% body fat, you know, minimum, you know, all those little things that kind of adds up. Because at the end of the day, if I'm not attracted to someone, it's not going to work.
Right.
I have to be attracted to you in some way. I don't care if you are giving me the world and I'm feeling good with you. There's not going to be that spark that I need. And I've been in a situation where there wasn't a spark and it just didn't go anywhere.
So if there's, okay, so how long does it take for you to see where that spark is or to feel that spark?
Well, because I've had an experience where I didn't feel the spark and I was kind of like tugging it along, just trying to see if it ever kind of happened. I've been more conscious of looking for that spark.
Okay.
And so since then, that particular situation, I intentionally try to find it early on. So I feel like to me, the spark should come within, you know, a couple of dates, if not immediately. It's kind of like what you said earlier about, you know, the vibes and, you know, feeling like you're in tune with someone. And if I can kind of get that feeling early on, then I know, okay, this is someone that I want to pursue and see where this could possibly go. Okay. But I never again will I sit and waste someone else's time and mine, but definitely not someone else's time thinking that, okay, everything else is good, but I'm not getting this spark. I'm waiting on it to happen. I've learned that, you know, fetch isn't always going to happen. And, you know, it's not doing anyone any good, you know, waiting on something that's just not going to work. And you need to learn how to ease out of that situation and just be like, hey, you know what? I don't think it's going to work out. And that'd be it. And it's no harm, no foul. It's just that there was no spark, that intangible feeling. If I don't feel it, I gotta go. Okay.
All right. Well, that's clear. You know, some people can't do that, but that is what it is. You're not dating now. You're dating, but you're dating in a relationship right now. Yes. So you're not
actively
looking for something. Yeah. So when you were actively dating, did you ever run across dates or individuals that consistently or constantly talked about their exes?
I actually have not, but I was a person that did that on one date.
I was wondering if that ever happened with you, because I know you and I talk, and not that you just like wake up in the morning and go, hey, what's going on? How are you? Let me tell you about this story that happened when someone like it's not like that, but there's usually something that we're talking about that triggers your conversation about an incident that happened with your ex. So I've heard stuff about your exes.
Exes.
Yeah,
no, we're not talking
plural.
about just one person. I've had a couple.
Plural. Yeah. Since we've known each other, there's been a few. So.
But see, and that's the thing, like it would be in the context of the conversation that we were having at the time, where it wouldn't be like, oh, let me tell you about what this dude from my past did. It would just kind of be like, and I would never talk about this like on a first date. This would be something that would kind of come up like maybe day 2 or 3. If we're talking about something like planning the future or something like that. And I'd be like, well, yeah, I used to go out with this guy and I thought it was going to be this, that, and the other.
We were planning the future.
Yeah, we were planning a future and then this happened and it all went to shit. But I'm also not the person that like sits there and like pines after an ex. Like to me, once we're through, we through. It's over. There will be no recovery in this matter. It is so ordered.
Thank you, Lynn Toller. Yes.
Right, exactly. We kind of, I'm the type of person that, once I move on, I've moved on. I don't want to circle the block. I'm good. So if I'm talking about an ex, it's basically just to kind of let the person know, like, this is something that I've been through, but I'm not looking to be with this person anymore. And I'm in a situation where most of the people that I used to date, I still have their contact information. I'm not one of those people, oh, let me go block this person, or I don't talk to them, let me delete them from my phone, or anything like that. So there may be situations where they reach out to me. And I have no problem responding. And in the current, relationship that I'm in, I've had that conversation with like, hey, my ex reached out to me. This is what we talked about. He wants to meet, blah, 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 this and the other. Unfortunately, whatever, I can't meet, but just to let you know. And I got that same situation back because like one of his exes wanted to talk to him, meet him out. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, if you want to go meet with them or y'all want to have a conversation, go ahead on. I'm good. I'm secure where, we are. So I don't need that. I don't need to feel like, oh, what you talking to him for? Like, you need to be all about me, blah, blah, blah. I'm not that type of guy.
You said be everything. What is it? BAE. What is the acronym?
Oh, before anyone else?
No, that wasn't it. But that works too. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm, not that type of possessive person or super jealous like that where you can't have a conversation with someone or you feel like, you can't still have some type of relationship with that person.
Yeah. Are you okay with your ex being friends with, your current situation still being friends with his ex?
Well, we had a conversation earlier today about what friends actually mean. So in the context of saying that he's cordial with this guy, I'm perfectly okay with that. I don't think for him, he's like, oh yeah, we're going to go out for pasta, on Thursday. And then we're going to go, to the ice rink on Saturday. I don't think that's what's happening. But, if y'all wanted to just have like a conversation or this, that, and the other, I'm cool with that. But I don't see it being like something where this person is now going to be one of my hangout buddies or one of his hangout buddies, going forward. Because my exes wouldn't be that either. I wouldn't be like, oh, let me go hang out with you. But, if we haven't talked for months or ages or years, and you want to meet up for a coffee, low stakes situation, I'm fine with that. Because I'm not going to have the expectation that we're going to rekindle or anything like that. So
okay, got you.
Yeah,
I've only had probably one situation where that has happened, where they were talking about their ex, but it was due to me asking questions. And we've talked about on this podcast that I ask a lot of questions, and it was me asking those questions. Now, what happened was, this is a person that had broken up with somebody that I follow online.
Okay.
And I noticed that there was something weird between them because I stopped seeing pictures of them together. And so I ended up reaching out to, we were friends too, like we were following each other. And so I ended up reaching out and saying, hey, I enjoyed your picture here. I enjoyed your content here. if we live in the same area, I would love to meet up, one day for lunch or something like that. And so on that date, we had conversations, and he brought up, I might have asked something about that other person, or I might have said, he might have told me that he might have mentioned X. And so then that confirmed what I thought to be true. And so then from there, it was, okay, let me see, let me kind of probe a little bit, so I asked a few questions about that situation, but it wasn't a that person led with that, and I could still kind of feel they had been together for a long time. And so I kind of feel like they might be back together now, because we went on that one date, and then that was it. That was another person that I never heard anything else from after we went out on that date. And it was cool. I thought the date was cool. I thought it was all right. I might not have been his type,
okay,
physically, but I think that I could see that looking at the other person. So,
okay. And that's another thing, because I feel like a lot of people feel like, oh, you can't talk to your ex at all. But let's say you've been in a situation where the person that you're talking to now and their ex, they may have been married, or they could have been engaged. It could have been like a long haul type of situation.
Yeah.
So, I feel like you should expect there to be a little bit of still some stuff kind of overlap that, hey, I may need to talk to them about this, or, Aunt Bessie Mae, she loved the way you used to cook them biscuits in the morning. Well, she passed, and I just want to let you know that she passed, because she always asked me about you. It would be heartless, I feel, to not let someone get that type of closure. And I'm not saying that someone should use that as an excuse just to talk, because I know sometimes people will use children or pets as a token, as a way in, to be like, well, we're sharing custody of the dog, so it's your week.
That was that situation too.
Yeah.
That they had, because gays love a dog. They love a trip and a dog.
They do love a trip.
And a dog.
But yeah, using that as a pawn to kind of still, talk or see to someone, is not what I feel like people should be doing. I think you should just kind of let it go. It's okay. I know people love their pets. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think you just have to make the hard decision. You may have to let, Mr. Scruffins go.
But I can't.
There'll never be another Mr. Scruffins.
Yes, we bought him together. So, yeah.
So before, in another previous episode of the podcast, previously on Just Drawz, we talked about how we went out on a date with someone that I met first, and then you met them second. Have you ever had any other experiences similar to that, where say you've dated someone, or you've gone on a date with someone, and you found out that person has dated someone that you used to date before, or maybe you have gone out on a date with?
There have been people who I know I've gone out on dates with that I have met up with other people, and there's that commonality, there's that common thread. But in most of those instances, it hasn't been anything like there was it either wasn't a situation where it was a serious date, or it wasn't a situation where it was something that had been long term on their part. Maybe they only went out with that person one time, and then we're just going out and we happen to have conversations, and we're like, oh, I know this person. I went out with them. Oh, I went out with them too. So it was that kind of thing, but it wasn't a situation of something long term, except there's one instance that actually happened, but it was the first part of what I said, where in my opinion, it wasn't a real date. It was just us meeting up. So I have a coworker who was engaged to somebody. And when I first started working at the institution where I'm working now, me and this coworker met, and we, had some just general conversation. It was like, hey, I'm new here, he was kind of put in place to help acclimate me to the school and all of that.
I remember us talking about this.
There you go. And so he told me about this person, and I had never seen a picture of him. I literally, if any of you know me out there, there's random facts that stay in my mind, but there's a lot of real stuff that people tell me that I will not remember. Jeff can tell me something. Oh, I'm going out of town on Thursday. I will forget in a few minutes that he said he was going out of town. And then on Wednesday, he'll say, oh, yeah, well, I'm getting ready for the trip. And in my mind, I'm going, okay, did he tell me that he was going out of town? And sometimes I'll ask again. I'll go, okay, well, where'd you say you were going again? So I don't know. So I don't remember much about that conversation other than we were together, we're not together. I think he told me he had a son or something like that. So, it was like little stuff, but I had never seen a picture. If he told me his name, I don't even remember that. So this was a whole year later, and I happened to be at a conference, and I was taking some students to the conference, and I ran into somebody on the app while I was at the conference. And so we started talking a little bit, and we exchanged information. That next day, we met up for lunch. So for me, it was just a simple, hey, we're just going to meet up for lunch. What's going on? We were both here at this conference. I had actually seen him. I had presented at the conference. And so he had actually come into my session at the conference. So I kind of remembered what he looked like. And so we met up for lunch. We talked a little bit. He put two and two together as to who I was because he had heard about who I was from his ex-fiance.
Okay.
I didn't know who he was. So he was like, oh, I know who you are. And I was like, what do you mean? You know who I am? And he was like, yeah. He was like, I am so-and-so's ex-fiance. And I was like, oh, okay. I've heard about you, but not enough to know anything more than that he had an ex. Yeah. And so I think he was more attracted to me than I was really attracted to him. I was just interested in hanging out. Mm-hmm. That was all it was. I'm a good hugger. So I gave him a hug after we left the lunch, and he was, there was something in that hug. And I was like, no, there wasn't.
That hug came with like a side.
With a little something. Yeah. I was like, there's some love. Biscuits. Yeah. And gravy. There's love in what I do, but no, that wasn't what that was. And so I asked him at the lunch, I said, do you think he will have a problem with us hanging out? And he said, I don't know. I'm going to ask him. So I said, all right, bet. I'm not going to say anything. If you're going to go ask him about this, then I'll just kind of wait to hear whatever he says. So maybe about a week and a half later, we met up again. And he said, I asked him, he said that he initially said it was okay, but then he said no, that because we worked together, he didn't think that was going to work. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. Then we won't do it. No problem. And so that was kind of the end of that situation. But my coworker then started being a little weird towards me and not responding when I sent stuff out and like not wanting to hang out anymore. And so I just was like, okay, I don't know what the problem is, but I'm going to put two and two together that this thing was an issue. And so I'm just going to back completely away from you altogether. And I'm just not going to, Yeah. So to this day, I mean, we're cordial, but I don't really deal like that anymore. Like I'll speak to him if we have a work function or something like that. But other than that, I don't. I keep my distance. Yeah, you have exited my life, and we're good on that. We will work together when we need to work together. If I need to talk to you, I'll talk to you. Otherwise, I can't. I'm not. You've
set a boundary.
I have, and I'm really good about those. So,
I had a similar situation. So one of my exes. I met someone that he had dated before, and I was like, oh, yeah, I met this guy, this, that, and other. And at the time, we were, exploring options. We were open or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I met this guy. He's just blah, blah. He looks like this. He's about this tall. Oh, what's his name? I was like, his name is Redacted. Oh, I know Redacted. Yeah, you can't talk to him. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I think Redacted is cute. But yeah, I could not. He did not want me to talk to that person and told me, why is that another? And I was like, all right, cool. That's no sweat. I'm like just trying to, see what our options are with this thing. This is new to me. So I'm just saying, but the dude was cute or whatever. But yeah, I got a hard no on exploring that any further. But I think other than the situation that we talked about previously and that, I think that's the only time that I've kind of ran into that situation.
Redacted might actually be the new name, like in like a few more years that we might start seeing a bunch of kids named Redacted.
I hope not.
Yeah, well, I've heard worse. I've heard worse. Being in education, I have absolutely heard worse.
I'm sure you have.
So, when you've gone on bad dates in the past, if we go back to the worst dates, when you've gone on bad dates, do you think that it's better that you see it all the way through the end, or that you just kind of end it like right there?
I feel.
Well, let me add this.
Okay.
Do you think that it's better to do that, and then versus what you've done?
In my situations, I've seen my dates to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you're feeling unsafe or threatened in the date, outside of that, I kind of will go along with the bullshit. Even if I feel like, this isn't going anywhere. Because at the end of the day, I'm probably still going to need to eat. If it's going to be one of those dinner date types of deals. So I'm still, have my meal and do that, or go through the entertainment. Mm-hmm. I still get that out of it, if nothing else. So I will go ahead and experience the whole thing. And in my mind say, we're not doing this anymore. But you know what? I'm going to give this the best experience for you that I can do, where I know I'm not going to return. I'm not going to say I'm going to return. I know I'm not going to have this experience with you again, but I'm going to close it so that there's not going to be any ambiguity once this is over where I stand. Like, okay. I do not want to go on another date with you. Thank you for your services.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I will go through the end of the date. I will see it through, and I might cut it short, but I will definitely kind of go as far as I can go. And, I'm going, okay, this is it. And we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you. And we'll go from there. But I stay in it, I'll stay in it. Because you never know.
Yeah, you never know. There could be some recovery, but for me, I always feel like there would be a point where this is just not going to work. Mm-hmm. Now, I could be like, okay, this experience was bad. I can probably give this a second go, just to see, just to make sure that, I set a baseline. It could not be any worse than this. Maybe try it. But for me, like in this current climate, if I was going out to date and my question is, who did you vote for? And you did not vote for the person that I needed you to vote for.
That's it.
That is a non-starter for me. We will be done. Thank you again for your services.
Pick up your purse.
Yeah, okay. I'm out.
I'm out. Flip and roll out.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with that. So even though we seem to be, pretty good guys when it comes to seeing a date to the end, I've heard of people using, their apps or their timers to be like, all right, I'm going to set my, text alert, blah, blah. I'm going to tell my friend, all right, I want you to call me twice. So I'm going to see that you called, and I'm going to look at the phone, and I'm not going to answer. Then I want you to call back like 3 minutes later, and then I'm going to answer.
See,
and
we're getting into like spy shit here. Like, it's too much. Like, we're getting into like, okay, now we got to have these elaborate plans with accomplices, and like that's too much. Like, just stand in it. No. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna happen. No.
Yeah, call me twice and I'm gonna ignore it. So when I answer the second time, be like, let me see, because they called me twice. And then if it's good, they'll say what the date. And if it's bad, they'll be like, God, I can't believe it. I'm sorry, I gotta go. Here's $50 for my meal or whatever. And pew, they're gone. But I've heard people do this.
I've seen people in apps that will get to your door and turn around.
Okay.
Just like leave. I've had that happen to me a couple times. Like, they've shown up if we're like hanging out or going to we're really going to link up or something like that, and you come to the door and they turn around and get back in the car and leave.
But that's so crazy to me, because at that point, even though it's just like a hookup, you've already traveled.
They don't care.
What you
Bye.
gonna do? Or are you, now that you're on this side of town, when you were on that side of town, now you're gonna go back to the app and see like who's within
Who else
a
is
4-mile radius of where I am.
Or go around the corner and check it like Uber. Like I'm just gonna park right here and wait and see what else is around here. But yeah, I've had that happen to me a couple of times. Like people just up and leave, and I'm like, okay. And this wasn't even in a catfishing situation. This was, I've sent you exactly what I look like, who I am, recent pictures. We've exchanged, nudes, all of that stuff. We've done all of that stuff. And then it's like, all right, yeah, well, I'm on my way, and then you get there and it's like you turn around and go back to the car. Yep.
That makes no sense to
But oh well, yeah.
But that's the dating pool that we're in. So I just mentioned paying $50 and getting up off the table. Have you ever had the experience where your dates were a little kind of on the cheap side? And when I say cheap, I don't necessarily mean that it's cheap as in, oh, he took me to churches. But I mean something that wasn't, exorbitantly expensive. Have you ever had that experience where someone is like, I'm just going to go and take you to the fast food spot and we just going to see what's up?
So it's rare that I get taken out on dates.
Okay.
I don't know why that is. Maybe it's my energy.
Maybe they feel like you should be taking them on the date.
Maybe. I don't know. But there's rare instances. The only time I've actually really been taken out on dates, it's usually people who are older.
Okay.
Like much older, and they want to go out and they're like, let me take you out. And I'm just like, okay. I rarely find people that are my age or our age, I should say, that are like, yeah, I want to take you out. Like I've heard people say, let's go out or let's hang out, which that's what I normally do. I'm like, well, let's go hang out. Let's get food. Let's do, other things. But it's rare that I get asked out like that. And I am a cheap date.
Yeah.
I'm a cheap date. I don't eat much. And if we're going to eat somewhere, I'm usually very small or I'm on the kids menu and I'm usually full. So, but I have, in answer to your question, when I have wanted to take people out, I like to take people places. If we're going to dinner, I like to take people places that have options. So, because I may not want all of what somebody else might want. Like, I don't want to go to an expensive steakhouse if I know I'm not going to eat an expensive steak. That's boyfriend privileges.
Right.
So let's go back to that. Cuddling and expensive dinners are boyfriend privileges. I don't buy alcohol most of the time on dates because I don't drink. Now, if I'm really into you, I might say, okay, yeah, get yourself a drink. No problem. I don't have any issue with that. But yeah, I don't think that that's a problem. I mean, honestly, if the energy and the vibe is what we're after here, then okay, we can go wherever. We can go down the street. We can meet at the park and just walk. I'm fine with that.
Just get some lemonade or some, or popsicle.
A freeze pop, ice cup.
Let's go for a long walk.
Yeah,
around the park.
Yeah, before dark.
Right.
Because I get sleepy after dark. So yeah, stuff like that. But I don't see an issue with that.
Yeah, me neither. Because a lot of times I would have met guys at Starbucks, low stakes.
I've done that before
let's
too.
Just get coffee, tea, scone. Something
scone. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Something that's not really gonna put either of us out. I can pay for the whole thing. If you feel like you want to pay for the whole thing, great. Or if you want to go Dutch, that's fine. It's just Starbucks. It's not going to put anyone out, and no one's going to feel like, oh, I'm obligated to do this because, I'm not taking anybody to Roof Chris on date one either.
No, no, not unless we've had really serious conversation. We've had long conversations. There are people right now in my quote dating circle that if we had an opportunity to meet in person, I would absolutely say, all right, let's go somewhere that's a little bit more expensive, or where would you like to go? And I would put out, and that I would put out in that respect. But yeah, but again, those are people that I've known for a while. There are people who have expressed mutual interest in me, but it might be something like distance, or it might be something like, schedule conflicts, things of that nature. So there are certain people that I would do that with, but a lot of people I don't. So in terms of that, how do you feel about going Dutch?
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
Because when I go out on a date, if I'm invited or the person that's initiating the date, my expectation is I'm going to pay for whatever I order at minimum. Mm-hmm. If I initiated the date, I'm paying for everything. So I'm okay with that. But I never go with the expectation thinking that, oh, yes, I'm going to have the lobster thermidor and the dome, with my meal. Like, I'm not going to do that with someone else is paying. I'm not going to order anything that I wouldn't order myself, that I wouldn't pay for myself. Mm-hmm. That's not an opportunity for me to just run out and buy something expensive just because someone else is paying for it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, have that intention, or they going out and be like, oh yeah, I'm about to go to whatever place and I'm going to order one of the most expensive things.
I'm getting a drink.
I'm getting a drink. And, I'm getting dessert. And I'm not giving up any.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing.
I'm not giving up any dessert. Yeah. Like, no. Yeah. You're going to do something.
Right.
So my philosophy is, honestly, I feel like first dates should always be Dutch. Mm. And a lot of times I have to establish that when I'm taking somebody out. And I try not to set the tone of this is a date. Mm-hmm. If it's a date, I'm going to tell you, let me take you out. If I say something like, let's go grab food, I'm not saying I'm going to pay for us to grab food. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I have to go, okay, are you okay with going Dutch on this? But again, it's the vibe too. So there are instances where I'm enjoying that person and I'm enjoying the vibe and I feel like there's some mutual interest there. So I would potentially pay in that situation because I'm like, okay, you know what? This is really dope. This is really cool. Some of those overnight dates I paid for because we were going to have big fun.
Did you establish that before it was determined if it was an overnight date?
So here's what's crazy. They asked me if they should pack a bag.
Okay.
Before we even went out. And I was like, I hadn't, I'm going to say no, just because I'm not thinking in that vein right now. And I don't know if the vibe is going to be good like that. And then one time the person asked me that and I said, no, let's just meet. And then, because we got to fill out the vibe. I don't want to have you do all of this extra stuff and then you get there and you don't like me or I'm not what you're looking for. So he didn't. And then we went out and the energy was so good. And I was like, well, damn. I was like, I should have told you to pack a bag. And he was like, well, I mean, I can buy some sweatpants or something, somewhere. And I said, well, and he was like not a lot smaller than me, but definitely smaller than me. And I was like, well, I don't even have anything that like you can wear. You're in like a small and I'm in a large, extra large, so I was like, I don't even have anything that you can wear. So I don't think he bought anything, any pants or anything like that. So he just kind of like, when we went to bed, it was just like, underwear, t-shirt and panties and, whatever. So they weren't panties, but yeah.
Right.
But,
I knew that.
Proverbial, yeah. Not literal panties.
But
some people do that.
Some people do that.
Yeah. So that's usually
there's nothing wrong with that. If you wear panties. Panties are draws.
They're just draws. So yeah, but I actually do that and I talk to people about that and I'm like, okay, listen, are we splitting, whatever. The other thing I hate is when they want to split the bill. Okay,
so you don't like that.
I don't like that.
Okay. See, I don't have a problem with that because I will split the bill. Well, I'll put it like this. If I'm offering the date, if I'm initiating the date and I'm expecting to pay for the date and you want to split it, I'm going to insist that you don't.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take charge and pay for the date.
Yeah.
Now, if on the other side of that equation is if they insist to pay and I've initiated the date, I'm going to be like, no, you don't have to do that. I will pay for it. And if they insist to pay, I'm going to let them pay.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to become like a
contentious
thing. Right. Like, all right, let's just pay the bill.
Yeah.
Cool. Got it. Mental note. I will take care of the next thing that we do.
Right. And that's me. That's what I'm saying. So like if the vibe is still that good, I don't want to be out. Because I've been out money for real from people who potentially just wanted to get dates. They just wanted to get, free
Some
food and some, at a place that they like. Yeah, So I don't mind doing that. And the one of the reasons why I don't like to split the bill all the time, I do it sometimes, but sometimes I just don't like to split it because it's like if my meal came to $10, $12, and your meal was $35, like how
does that split?
How does that split work? Yeah, like you're getting over, on that. And I had a kid's meal and tea, so like, and you had a drink and a steak and blah, 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 blah. But again, it really all depends on the energy and the vibe that I have with that person. So if the vibe is good and all that stuff, sometimes, I would say this with me, come prepared to pay what you're going to eat, pay for what you're going to eat. And then if I say, nah, you know what? I got it. I got this one.
Okay.
Then it's no big deal. But yeah, I don't like to go into it like that. But
okay.
You have any tips for planning great dates?
Yeah, I do. I have some tips.
Okay.
So we were just talking about, splitting a bill, and mainly we've been talking about in the realm of like a dinner date, but, or food oriented date. But dates don't have to be food oriented. You can still do an activity date. Like you mentioned before, you can go out to a park, walk around, go to a festival. So this is something that I think people should do. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the whole picture, song, and dance. So a lot of us are meeting people on social media. We're going to Twitter/X. We're going to Instagram and Facebook. And we're becoming Facebook friends with folks. So once y'all have made that connection on Instagram, or even for us, like we're doing a podcast right now, someone could be like, oh, I'm listening to that podcast. I'm interested in one of these guys. Let me see what they talk about on the show. Like, look for things, use that social media to find things that guy is interested in.
That's what Lamont was saying too when we did that episode.
And use that information to your advantage. Oh, I see this person, they like to go out and eat oysters. Oh, I like seafood too. So, that's something that we can kind of like bond over. Like, did you go to the Oyster Fest? Send them something around that, and you can like use that as your base to have the dates. Yeah. So, okay, yeah. Have you ever been to, oyster restaurant number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And, plan the date around that, because you already know that person likes oysters. Now, if oysters cost a little bit more than what you want to go with,
then we're not doing that.
We're not doing that. Not for a first date, at least not us, because those are like boyfriend privileges. But hey, some of y'all may have it like that. And if you can do Roof Chris and oysters on the first date, be our guest.
Put your wallet to the test.
Yes. Yeah. So that's one of the things. And then also looking at the type of activities that guy is interested in, not necessarily like travel, but if you see like, oh, this person goes to a gaming convention. Oh, I see that they've gone to sip and paints. Oh, I see they've taken these classes, or they've blown glass. Those are things that can kind of use as the activity to do, to be like, oh, okay, let's go on a date where we do this. Or I see that you tag this artist a lot in your stories, listening to that person. I like that person too. There's actually, a tribute concert, would you be interested in going to that? So those are like little things that people can use to get those dates and make them interesting without it being just food oriented. And of course you can have food during the event, or, as a part of the date experience, but you don't have to just have it completely just food based.
I have to get better at doing more activity based dates. But the thing that has always stopped me from doing activity based dates is that I feel like I'm going to be more engaged, or we're going to be more engaged in the activity than we are each other. And the food is just us eating. And so I can have a conversation with you while I'm eating. But like if I'm blowing glass, or I'm, we're doing the pottery wheel, the ghost pottery wheel, like I'm going, okay, like I'm focused in on what we're doing here. Yeah. Now, other than like a walk in the park, I've done that before, where I've met somebody, we've picked up like ice cream, and then we've just kind of walked around. That's fun. I like something like that. Or if we're going to go on a hike or something like that would be fun to just kind of have some conversation. But I don't like a whole lot of outside stimuli if we're going on a date.
Okay.
Yeah, at least a first date. A second date can be that. I want to establish some foundation in the first date. The second date is where we can go, okay, let's branch out. Let's go do something else. Let's go to the movies, or let's go to bowl. Let's go to a Dave and Buster's kind of situation, and let's play some games. And, that's a little bit, that's where we've already established some things, and now we're just kind of having fun. But I like to kind of set the ground rules and the boundaries and the foundation first, and then we can do all of those things.
Yeah, yeah. And so once we get to the date, we've established that we're actually going to go into this event. Now, there's some more things that I feel people should do. So just like I had that previous conversation about the bad date where the guy just reeked of his cologne, try to keep that level set. Like, ask your friends, like, look, I need you to just tell me, do I put on a little bit too much cologne? And if your friends are really honest with you, they'll tell you, hey, maybe you don't need to wear that, and you need to be in a place where you can accept that criticism. Because sometimes, we think that we're doing it and we're not really doing it, because we don't have people like tell us like, that's not it, bro. Don't do that. You're
not
doing
that.
Yeah, not that. So, you want to, make sure that you smell good, but you're not overpowering the room with your smell. And also with that, like we just said, if you're going to do an activity date, and you're going to be walking through the park, you may not want to be in your hoodie. With a baseball cap on.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the middle of May.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be the best thing to do.
No, because you're going to need that extra spray of cologne, because it's gonna be interesting.
Yes. And you mentioned before about, someone wanting to bring should I bring a spin-a-night bag over? Yeah, so you may want to prepare, because we all are adults, and, one thing could lead to another, and, you may end up at their place, or they may be at yours, and you may want to do what you need to prepare, and y'all know what I mean when I say prepare.
Please.
Excuse me. Yeah, make sure that you do what you need to do to prepare for that date, so it can be successful if that's what you are looking for. Now, alternatively, some of y'all may be a little bit too sexually charged. You want to be Mr. Good Guy. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with, having a little pre-date fun, alone, solo, so that, you get that urge out. Go ahead and jack off.
But
before
does
your date.
that work though?
It can work for some people,
right? Because
now, some people can go multiple rounds.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Do a damn thing for them.
That is what I'm saying. Like, that's not gonna help me. If I do that before, it's gonna be like, all right, bet, yay, and then I see you, and I'm gonna be like,
you're ready to go.
Hi.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work for you, then don't waste your time doing it.
Yeah.
It's just, it could work for some people. Some people can, they can get that out. And, it takes the edge off, and then they don't feel so pressured to be like, I want this at the end of the night.
Yeah.
But if you do, there's nothing wrong with that, but you may want to not come off like that, on date number one. And you may be like all for it on date number two.
Yeah.
But, we've all hooked up on date one before. Like, so, there's nothing wrong with that. But those are just some things that, I think people can do to kind of like make the dates go a little bit better.
Yeah, I think those are all good things. Definitely.
Yeah. Do you have any?
I don't know that I do, other than what you've already kind of put out here. I mean, no, and that and a lot of what Lamont told us on a previous episode, I think, is
the gay dating coach.
Yeah, the gay dating coach. Yeah, make sure you go back and look at that episode if you haven't seen that episode. But a lot of the things that you said about, checking out their social media, if you met on social media, seeing what sorts of things they like to do, and then maybe proposing dates based around things they like to do. I think you covered everything else, Okay. Yeah, I think you got everything else, making sure that you're presentable. And that's subjective, though, because the way that you dress, like, might just be the way that you dress. And if you're going out to walk in the park, you don't need a 3-piece suit with gaiters and some socks with the balls on the back. Like, you don't need all of that. You need some comfortable shoes, something that is weather appropriate, and you go out and you enjoy yourself. If you're going to dinner, like, sometimes I've asked people, okay, what are you thinking about wearing to dinner? Because I don't want to be overly dressed from what you are. If you coming out in a fur coat, okay, then I'm not going to come out in a fur coat, but I might need to have on something that might look a little bit more dressy so that
you want to match.
You want to compliment.
Yeah, compliment.
Yeah, you want to compliment. Yeah,
compliment
so I would say that, but other than that, like not much else.
Okay.
There.
Cool.
So,
all right, cool. So, with that, I think we can wrap this up. So, dating can be fun. And hopefully, we've given you some tips and some things to think about the next time that you are invited or initiate a date with someone else. Hopefully you've got some good tips.
I hope so. Or use your own. If you feel like you got it, go for it.
Yeah,
send us some tips.
Right, because if we're wrong, please tell us in the comments, because we have no problem with criticism over
We don't. Not at all. Not at all.
All right, so fam, that's going to wrap up this episode of Just Drawz. Hopefully you felt the love and laughed a little bit and learned something new today.
Now, remember that the conversation does not stop here. Follow us individually on social media and let us know your thoughts, share some stories, or if you'd like to, shoot us your best pickup line. Since this episode was about dating, let us know how you would kind of pick, well, more so me up than him, because he's kind of attached right now, so... Yeah.
Until then, just be bold, be beautiful, and most importantly, just be.
We'll catch y'all next time.
Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Now be sure to like, share, and follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and Spotify at Just Drawz. That's JUSTDRAWZ. Until next time,